Your neighbor planted a garden 2 seasons ago. Now it looks full, layered, and established, like it has been growing for 10 years. But your garden has been in the ground longer, and somehow it still looks thin. Bare patches, weak borders, empty spaces you keep trying to fix with annuals every spring. That is not bad luck, and it is not always bad soil. Most of the time, it is the wrong plant strategy. If you want a garden that fills in fast, you need perennials that do more than bloom. You need plants that multiply, plants that spread by roots, runners, clumps, seeds, or surface stems. Plants that quietly turn one purchase into 3, then 10, then a border that finally looks complete. Today, we are looking at 13 perennials that can fill your garden fast without making you replant from scratch every year. Some spread so quickly they surprise new gardeners. Some give you free divisions. Some cover impossible shade. Some bring structure for all 4 seasons. But every one of them has one rule, one mistake, or one planting detail that makes the difference between average and amazing. Let's start with the easiest investment in the perennial garden. Daylily is the easiest place to begin because it gives you one of the fastest returns for the least work. Varieties like Stella de Oro, Happy Returns, and Pardon Me are famous for a reason. They survive, they multiply, and they forgive almost every beginner mistake. Daylilies grow from thick, tuberous roots that keep producing new fans underground. One small plant can become a strong clump in just 1 or 2 growing seasons. That is why they are so useful for filling borders. You are not just buying flowers. You are buying future divisions. The mistake is waiting too long to divide them. A daylily clump may look full after 5 or 6 years, but the center can become overcrowded and bloom less. Divide around year 3 while the plant is still vigorous. Each division should have 3 to 5 fans. Replant them immediately, water, well, and they usually recover fast. Daylilies handle full sun, partial shade, clay, sand, wet spots, and dry spells once established. For a garden that looks fuller quickly, they are one of the most reliable investments you can make. Catmint is what you plant when you want a soft, full, flowering mound without constant work. Walker's Low is the classic choice, forming a gray-green mound about 2 to 3 feet wide. 6 Hills Giant grows larger and gives a stronger, more dramatic effect in a border. The flowers are lavender blue, and when the plant is happy, it can bloom from late spring into fall, but only if you cut it correctly. Here is the mistake most gardeners make. They let the first flush of flowers fade, then leave the plant alone. Once those old flower spikes stay on the plant, catmint begins shifting energy towards seed instead of fresh blooms. After the first big bloom fades in late June or early July, shear the plant back by about half. Do not cut it to the ground. Just reduce the mound. Within a few weeks, fresh growth returns, followed by another wave of flowers. Catmint grows well in zones 3 through 8, resists deer and rabbits, and attracts bees constantly. One plant fills space. One smart cut keeps it flowering. Coreopsis looks light and delicate above ground, but underground, it is quietly filling your garden. Threadleaf varieties like Moonbeam, Zagreb, and Golden Gain produce fine, airy foliage with bright yellow flowers that can bloom from June into September. That is months of color from a plant that asks for very little. Its real power is underground. Coreopsis spreads through rhizomes, which are horizontal stems moving beneath the soil. You may not notice anything happening at first. Then one day, new plants appear several inches away from the original clump. That is how one plant becomes a colony. The biggest mistake is feeding it too much. Coreopsis is a prairie-style plant that performs best in lean, average, or even poor soil. Rich soil and heavy fertilizer push it into soft, leafy growth with fewer flowers. Give it full sun at least 6 hours a day. Do not overwater. Do not overfeed. Then let it do what it was built to do. In poor soil, coreopsis does not struggle. It shines. Creeping phlox is not tall, but it can change the entire shape of a garden. It forms a low evergreen mat, usually only 4 to 6 inches high. Then in spring, that mat disappears under a sheet of flowers. Emerald blue gives a blue-purple carpet. Candy stripe brings pink and white blooms. Redwings creates a strong magenta-red display. The plant spreads by stems that move across the soil surface and root wherever they touch the ground. One starter plant can become a wide mat in just a few seasons, but placement matters. The common mistake is planting creeping phlox flat in the middle of a bed, where it can only move sideways. This plant looks best when it can spill. Use it on a slope, over a raised bed edge, along a retaining wall, or in a rock garden. When it has a place to cascade, the flowers look like a waterfall of color. Creeping phlox does not just cover soil, it gives the garden movement, softness, and a finished edge. Black-eyed Susan is one of the strongest native plants for making a border look full fast. Goldsturm is the classic variety, with golden petals, dark centers, and a long season of color through summer. But the real reason it fills space so well is its double spreading system. It spreads underground by rhizomes. Then it drops seed above ground. That means it can expand from the original clump, while also placing new seedlings in nearby gaps. A few starter plants can make a young border look older and more established within 2 seasons. The mistake is cutting everything down too early in fall. Those dark seed heads are not waste. They feed goldfinches, chickadees, sparrows, and other small birds through the cold months. They also create the next generation of free plants. Leave the seed heads standing through winter, then cut the plant back in early spring, just before new growth begins. You get winter structure, wildlife value, and free seedlings from one simple decision. Black-eyed Susan is not just color. It is a self-filling system. Lamb's ear is the plant people always want to touch. The leaves are silver, soft, and covered in fine hairs that feel almost like fabric. Varieties like Helen von Stein and Silver Carpet are especially useful when you want texture, not just flowers. But the real value is how fast it covers ground. Lamb's ear spreads by surface stems that root wherever they touch the soil. A small starter plant can cover 2 to 3 feet by the end of its first summer in the right conditions. As it spreads, it creates a dense, low mat that blocks light from reaching weed seeds. That means fewer weeds and less open soil. The mistake is overwatering and overmulching. Lamb's ear is built for dry, rocky, sunny places. If the crown stays wet, it can rot quickly. Pull mulch back from the center of the plant. Water only while it establishes. After that, let the soil dry. This is one of those perennials that does better when you stop trying so hard. Ajuga is the plant that surprises people because it does not spread politely. It sends out above-ground runners called stolons, similar to strawberry runners. Those runners move across the soil, root at multiple points, and create new plants along the way. That is why one ajuga can cover a difficult patch so quickly. Black scallop has dark, glossy purple-black leaves. Chocolate chip stays low and tight. Burgundy glow adds green, cream, and pink variegation. But ajuga's best use is under mature trees, where grass dies and many perennials struggle. Dry shade, heavy root competition, and bare soil are exactly the kind of problem ajuga can solve. Give it 1 season to settle in, and it can begin forming a dense, weed-suppressing carpet. The mistake is planting it beside a lawn with no barrier. Ajuga does not know where the garden bed ends. Use edging, hardscape, or a natural boundary. In the right place, ajuga is not invasive chaos. It is a fast solution for dead ground. Bee balm is one of the fastest ways to make a garden feel alive. The flowers look wild, almost like little fireworks, and hummingbirds notice them immediately. Jacob Klein gives strong red blooms. Raspberry wine brings deep burgundy color. Coral reef adds a softer coral tone. Bee balm fills space through 2 systems at once. It spreads by underground rhizomes, and it can also self-seed around the parent plant. One plant can become a 2 or 3 foot colony by the end of a good season. The mistake is choosing the wrong variety, especially in humid climates. Older bee balm types often suffer from powdery mildew, leaving the leaves coated in white by midsummer. Choose mildew-resistant varieties when possible. Space plants 18 to 24 inches apart. Water at the base, not over the leaves. And if mildew appears late in the season, cut the plant back to about 6 inches. Fresh growth usually returns quickly. Bee balm gives you flowers, spread, fragrance, and daily wildlife movement. Creeping Jenny gives you a color that is hard to find at ground level. The golden form, Lysimachia nummularia aurea, creates a flowing carpet of round, bright gold-green leaves. It trails over containers. It fills gaps between stepping stones. It softens slopes and edges. And in shade, it can cover ground where many other plants barely survive. Creeping Jenny spreads by stems that root at the nodes as they travel. One plant can move several feet in a season when it has moisture and room. The mistake is planting it in harsh, full sun in hot regions. The plant may survive, but the gold color often fades into a tired, pale yellow by midsummer. Partial shade is usually better. Give it morning sun and afternoon protection, especially in zones 7 through 9. In the right light, Creeping Jenny does not just fill empty ground. It makes shade glow. Shasta daisy gives a garden something simple but powerful. Height, clean white flowers, and the feeling of a classic summer border. Becky is one of the strongest choices, with large white blooms, golden centers, and better heat tolerance than many older types. Banana cream gives a softer yellow cream look for gardens that need warmth instead of bright white. Shasta daisy spreads by expanding clumps and moderate self-seeding, so it fills space steadily without behaving like a runaway ground cover. The mistake is planting it in heavy, wet soil. If the crown sits in water through winter, the plant can rot and disappear. Raise the planting area by a few inches, improve drainage, or add grit where soil is heavy. That small change can keep a planting alive for years. And here is the bonus. Cutting the flowers does not weaken the display. It often encourages more stems, so you can bring daisies indoors and still keep the garden blooming. Speedwell is the plant that makes a border look more designed. Most spreading perennials move outward and stay low or rounded. That fills space, but it can also make a garden look flat. Veronica solves that problem. Royal candles and sunny border blue send up upright spikes packed with tiny blue-purple flowers. They give the eye something vertical to follow, which makes the whole planting feel more intentional. Speedwell spreads steadily by clump growth, but it stays controlled enough for the front or middle of a border. The mistake is giving it too much shade or too much richness. In heavy fertilizer or weak light, the stems stretch, lean, and lose that clean, upright shape. Give it full sun and lean, well-drained soil. Deadhead spent spikes by cutting back to the next set of leaves, and the plant can produce more flowers later in the season. Speedwell fills space with discipline. It adds structure, not mess. Russian sage is the plant for hot, dry, difficult places where softer perennials give up. Blue spire gives a tall, airy cloud of lavender blue flowers over silver foliage. Little spire stays shorter and works better in smaller borders. It thrives in full sun, lean soil, rocky soil, and sharp drainage. Once established, it needs very little water. Deer and rabbits usually avoid it because the foliage is strongly aromatic. The mistake is cutting it to the ground in fall like a soft perennial. Russian sage has a woody base. In colder zones, that base protects the growing points through winter. Leave 6 to 8 inches of stems standing. Then in spring, wait until you see new growth before cutting back to just above it. In the right site, Russian sage does not just survive heat, it turns heat into flowers. Karl Forster feather reed grass does not spread like ajuga or lamb's ear. It earns its place in a different way. It makes the rest of the garden look intentional. In spring, it rises as a clean, vertical clump of fresh green blades. In early summer, narrow flower plumes stand above the foliage. By late summer, those plumes turn warm wheat gold. In winter, the plant still holds structure when many perennials have collapsed. That is why designers use it so often. It gives movement, height, and four-season form from one plant. The mistake is dividing it too often. Karl Forster needs time to build size and impact. Divide every 4 to 5 years, not every season. Do it in early spring before new growth begins. The root mass is dense, so use a sharp spade, not a small hand tool. Each division should be large enough to recover quickly, at least 1/3 of the original clump. Give it full sun for the strongest upright shape. Carl Förster does not just fill space, it gives the garden a backbone. A full garden is not only about time, it is about choosing plants that know how to fill space. Daylilies give you divisions. Catmint gives you a wide flowering mound. Coreopsis spreads from below the soil. Creeping phlox turns edges and slopes into carpets of spring color. Black-eyed Susan expands by roots and seed, while feeding birds through winter. Lamb's ear blocks weeds with silver texture. Ajuga solves the dead ground under mature trees. Bee balm brings hummingbirds and builds colonies. Creeping jenny makes shade glow. Shasta daisy gives you flowers for the garden and the vase. Speedwell adds vertical structure. Russian sage handles heat, drought, and poor soil. And Carl Förster gives the whole planting a backbone through all 4 seasons. But every plant on this list has one condition you must respect. Do not overfeed the plants that need lean soil. Do not overwater the plants built for dryness. Do not cut down the seed heads that feed birds and create free seedlings. Do not plant aggressive spreaders without boundaries. When you understand how a plant spreads, you stop fighting it. You place it where that habit becomes an advantage. That is how a thin garden becomes full faster, not by buying more random plants every spring, but by planting the right perennials once, avoiding the one big mistake, and letting them do the work they were built to do. So tell me in the comments, which of these 13 are you planting first this season? And do you clean everything up in fall, or do you leave seed heads and structure standing for wildlife? Choose the right spreader. Avoid the one mistake. And your garden will start filling itself